Good afternoon, Vets in the Fight. This is David Miller with your weekly Special Operations Speaks Vets in the Fight Sitrep. During ongoing research into Antifa, it has become clear that what we are witnessing today reaches back directly to the early 20th century battle lines drawn between communists and the subsequent emergence of the National Socialist and Fascist movements. Interestingly and telling, Antifa does not, perhaps cannot, precisely define fascism. Today's Antifa, using the broadest of terms, condemns all who dare disagree with their beliefs. This includes the far right and liberals, whom they see as too far to the right, which is ironic and comes as a shock to the liberal left. Remember Nancy Pelosi's press conference on Dreamers, since both are in harmony on matters such as denouncing the far right for being sexist, Islamophobic, nativist, homophobic, misogynistic, so on ad nauseum. Since their very own definitions continuously evolve, attempting to argue a point with them in civil discourse is rather akin to nailing Jell-O to a wall. Remember this: they must have an oppressor bogeyman to fight against, or they perish. We are that bogeyman. According to the Torch Network, their 5 points of unity are to disrupt fascist, far-right organizing and activity. Do not rely on law enforcement. Use the courts, but resist the cops who uphold the white supremacist status quo. Oppose all forms of oppression and exploitation, including assuring abortion rights. Police our own ranks. Anyone falling away from the core values, whatever they happen to be today, is considered a non-entity at best. An attack on one is an attack on all. A critical point. The real danger of this worldview is not the visible street thuggery. It's the creeping infiltration of communist critical theory into our society and culture. This virulent infection takes almost as many forms as there are members: communists, anarchists, nihilists, and, of course, your garden variety psychopaths. The latter two being the most visible on the streets of towns and cities, angrily destroying everything in their collective path. Now, these young thugs in black did not arise on their own, but are rather at the tip of the militant spear that has been poking and prodding America and the West for most of the past century. They are the product of a much more dangerous cadre. A quick look back in history will cast light on their toxic beginnings. World War I was a bright hope for communists, as they hoped that the proletariat, those that made up the ranks of fighting soldiers, would rise up, sans national identity, and turn on the oppressive ruling class. Obviously, that didn't happen, and communists were stunned. But by the 1930s, the Frankfurt School of Critical Theory began a systematic deconstruction via academic intelligentsia of Western thought, the very foundations of what makes up European and American culture and society. This was the intent, and the distinctions between the two were important to publish, since a free market society and communism are mutually exclusive. The basis of the conflict is this: communism, in its various forms, believe in the common ownership of all property and the means of production, and usually the destruction of the state. This, they believe, would ultimately lead to a classless utopian society. Western free market theory, on the other hand, states, well, the opposite: that the free market, the people themselves, can best determine their own destiny, at the very least economically. What drives Antifa, among others, to lose their collective minds is that it is based on personal responsibility, which inevitably leads to the so-called classes of people, the haves and the have-nots, as Marx put it, later echoed by Saul Alinsky. This personal responsibility led to the incubation and maturing of the greatest nation this world has ever seen, and in a very short period of time, historically speaking. Stay with us next week for Part 2, where we'll trace the roots to Antifa today, here in the United States. Now, on to exciting news. The new Special Operations Speaks website is almost here. SpecOpsSpeaks.com will be the place to go for all things concerning special operations, veteran, and security issues of the day, affecting our key instruments of national power: diplomatic, military, informational, and economic, each of which must be strong to sustain our republic. We'll feature vets in the fight who are out there continuing the mission in the public arena, breaking news to keep you situationally aware, calls to action to put that vast veteran energy to work to protect our republic. A forum to expand knowledge and wisdom on the issues critical to strengthening America, the world's last best hope. More to come on the new Special Operations Speaks website. This is David Miller for an ever-ready Special Operations Speaks and Vets in the Fight, wishing you a safe and blessed week ahead. Deo presso liber.